welcome to part 2 of this week's Cats Whiskers TV. We're going to go straight into our hot topic, which is, after this weekend's results, are the Sheffield Steelers out of the title race? Aaron, I'll come to you first. Obviously, looking at the results that they had Saturday night, a 5-2 defeat against the Giants. Giants, of course, top of the league. Probably not expected to win that game, especially with the Giants so dominant at the Odyssey. Yeah. But they still needed 2 empty net goals to put a bit of a gloss on the scoreline.
Yeah, I believe I said it in part 1 that it's not really a 5-2 game, is it? I think for the purpose of this part of the show, we should look at that at maybe a 3-2 game. So in that sense, before the game there were 2 title contenders, going into the game. After this hot topic, we'll see whether they are. They are. But so in that sense, 2 title contenders. They're going to be tight games. They're going to be close games. Steelers haven't done that well in the Odyssey this season. Doug against his former club, they would have been aiming for a result, but it's a performance really that the Giants again show. A bit of dominance at the moment over the teams in the rest of the league. So a disappointing game from the Steelers, because if they'd won that game, then really that builds everybody up, and it maybe shows everybody else that we're not going to disappear. We're going to be here for the long haul.
It did really put a gloss on the scoreline, but even so, they're still coming away without the points.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's you've got to throw the dice in these situations. We're talking about whether they're out of the title race. It's really a 1-goal game. In this league, goal difference is way down the list of ways of separating teams. So why not? I know Doug's got a lot of stick from some of the Steelers fans for leaving Doyle off the ice, but he improves his stats. I mean, they let him 9 over the weekend, and he was only in net for 6.
True. Yeah.
Which is Jono was just about working out about.
Ding. There you go.
Now is a 3rd.
Absolutely. Sunday night they was at the Sky Dome, which is we know is never an easy place to go, but you would think, looking at the 2 teams,
straight down the M1, turn right, you're in.
It's never an easy place to go, Aaron, the Sky Dome, to get a result, but you would expect the Steelers would probably be slight favourites going into that game. But, great performance from the Blaze, and they come away with the 4-1 victory, and the problems are just mounting up there for the Steelers.
They are, because they'd want to, right the wrongs of the previous night and at least get some points from the weekend. But the Blaze, it's their only game this weekend, and I think you'll find most people win their games when they've only got one.
It's about a 50-50 split, yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, watch part 1. But yeah, it's a 4-1 as well, isn't it? But to defend the Steelers slightly there, they were missing Jeff Ligui.
Yeah.
The number one,
which has been but he's been by far and away their most consistent goal scorer all season.
You could arguably question that he's their most creative player. They're still missing Dowd, which is a huge loss. So they're missing the daddy of Sheffield and the baby of Sheffield. So 2 important people. Yeah, did like that. Important people. Look, if you take two players of that quality out of anybody's team, you're going to suffer. But look, let's then say there's plenty of other people, there's plenty of on that bench, and that's where you really, as a team, and maybe this is where, when we discuss the actual hot topic and we go into it a little bit more, that have they got the guts, have they got the to roll up their sleeves and go, do you know what, let's grind this, because that's what that game would have been. It would have been a grind out. It was never going to be a classic game of hockey or we're going to spank the Blaze. That would have been a hard fought grind out win if they'd got it, and maybe that shows you that the character in the team, or they just didn't have the players on the night who actually were up for the fight which the Blaze gave them.
There's obviously a hell of a lot of criticism now about Doug Christensen's coaching, and if Steel talk is to be believed, which, let's face it, is probably not a representative of the fan base as a whole, but they're seriously calling for his head on there, and it's like you're getting the odd 1 or 2 supporting him against like a tidal wave now of posts there who want him out. That's not fair, really, is it? Not 3-4 months into into the season.
No, I mean, and for me, the question of are Steelers now out of the title race? No, it's December, hence the decoration. We're halfway through the season. It's going to be difficult for them. It's going to be difficult for us because, at the end of the day, we're not that far in front of them. Was it 2 points and 3 games in hand?
Two and two, I think.
Yeah, but games in hand mean nothing till you've won them.
Points on the board every time.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
But it's always going to be a case that the buck stops with the coach. But like we were talking about in part 1, if you've not watched it, watch it. Like he said, Finnerty with the Clan, Christensen with the Steelers, especially Christensen, very publicly said, we're going to be playing this NHL defensive. Yeah. Now holes and leagues, it would appear that stands for, but they put. Yeah, for seconds, you could tell probably, but it's the players. I mean, all right, yeah, Christensen picked them and signed them, but it's the players that are performing or not performing for the coach. So it's way too soon to be calling for Christensen's head, especially if they keep playing the way they do. I'd like to see him there for years.
Looking at some of the tweets we've received, and we got a lot of tweets on this subject, and from all fans, not just Steelers fans, but we'll start with one from our favourite ranty ginger Steeler, Alan Clarenbold.
This will take a while.
Only 3 tweets, but he on the question, he said, it's tough to say, but the loss to Belfast could be a telling story come March. Still plenty of issues that need sorting. This Christmas period will make or break the season. Injuries to key players haven't helped, but we've done a lot of the damage ourselves for one reason or another. Doug Christensen is not the same man/coach from seasons past. Now that's quite a tough comment by Alan there about Christensen.
Well, I would have liked a 4th tweet there to explain what are his views on why DC isn't the same coach, in what way does he feel that he isn't the same coach.
5th and 6th,
so, well, yeah, so...
well, Belfast, he won games, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, but, so, Al, let me know. Look, I agree with what Paul's saying, to be honest. It's, you're in December. Yes, there's no doubt that the Steelers haven't performed to their expectations. As I've said previous in other episodes, for me, they made a big statement at the start of this season by going after Doug Christian and the money that they've so-called spent on their budget, etc. And this is, this was going to be the year, and this was the year that I think after the dominance of the Panthers last season, they were going to try and come back and say, look, don't forget about the Steelers, sort of. Just
to cut in there, do you think that is a factor? The fact that the Panthers have been so dominant over the past 3 seasons, of course, won the league last season. Is that a factor in the way that the Sheffield fans are reacting to the way that the Steelers are now? Because, in effect, they are now behind us. They're probably not as good. They're not as good as us. And the truth, well, they're not. The truth.
Give them the ammunition when you play them. Well done.
No, I don't mean it like that. But what I mean is the silverware shows that the Panthers have been pretty dominant winning silverware over the past 3 seasons, where the Steelers haven't been. Yes, they've won the league title, but they've won that one trophy. They've won nothing for 2 seasons, and we know. It hurt seeing the Steelers being dominant in sort of the 2000s, the early 90s. It really hurt when they're your biggest rivals. They're surely going to be feeling that as a fan base.
Well, definitely as a fan base. And look, but maybe it's a bit of paranoia and a bit of, jealousy come into it of how we have performed as fans. But it was only the same when. But that's sport, isn't it? And that's rivalry, and that's at the end of the day, that's what you want from sport and rivalries. And one of you is going to be down, and one of you is going to be up. One of you is going to be happy, one of you is going to be sad. One of you is going to win, one of you is going to lose. That's the rivalry. But is Doug Christian an easy target for the fans? Do you have to look at other people that are involved in the Steelers, organisational-wise, player-wise, like Paul says? There's only so much that a coach can do. And yes, in any sport, the coach seems to get the bullet, and players, they just carry on, and then somebody else coaches them. But maybe it's time that the Steelers had a look at actually, who's actually on the ice. I mean, I don't know, I'm not a Steelers fan, I don't go and watch the Steelers, but you can't just, after so many months when you've gone out and made a statement and getting dug, go, do you know what, we're going to push you and some saviour is going to come in. Because at the end of the day, some of those players as well have been poor for 2.5 seasons now, under Finity and under Christian. So you sacked Finity. What happens then if you sack Christensen and then whoever comes in next doesn't work out? Are you going to say that's the coach as well? It's at some point you've got to look at the players.
Is the Steelers coach's job probably becoming a bit of a poison chalice?
I don't know about poison chalice. It's a hard job because of the expectation. I mean, going back to the previous question about is it because of us, that I think it's partly that, but it's also partly, this is the longest I think they've ever gone without winning a trophy of some form. And in a fan base that's used to winning trophies, it's not going to go down well. But it's so, I think with any big club, even with us now, now we've won the league, I think before that the expectation and the pressure wasn't as great because we've not won it before, we'll not win it again, But that the pressure in places like Belfast, I don't think the pressure is really any greater than in places like Nottingham or in Belfast. The clubs that people are looking to and expecting to win the league, and that's why Sheffield have gone and signed Christensen, because they thought he was the man who could win them the league, who could get the players to win them the league. And it hasn't worked out this year, but getting rid of him now, no.
Okay, looking at a few more of the tweets that we have received. So, Niall Perry, who's a Belfast fan, on the question, he says they're definitely out of it. 11 points behind with only 1 game in hand. No way will they win 5 more games than Belfast do in the rest of the season. And I suppose when he breaks it down like that and you look at it, it makes it an extremely tough ask for Sheffield to win 5 more games than the Giants, if you look at the form that both teams are in at the moment.
Well, yeah, on the form so far, then yes, you would have to agree with that stat. But the only thing I would say is the Giants have been very consistent so far. They've not had a ton of injuries compared to other teams. Yes, they've had injuries and the odd suspension here and there, but I think most Giants fans would say they're out of the teams in the league, they've been the one that's benefited the most of the lack of injuries and suspensions. So my only thing on that would be is if the Giants had a no-point weekend and everybody else won, like your Sheffields and your Nottinghams, then, winning 3 more games than the Giants then, that's not, so, that's plausible. So, at the moment, yes, but over a season, I'm still not convinced.
And in a league like ours, where teams play each other so often, how many more times have we got to play Belfast? How many times has Sheffield got to play Belfast? And
it can change.
It can change. Yeah, I mean, we the thing is, we still look at it. We sort of think, we might have a chance in the league. We're not that much further in front of Sheffield.
No.
Then the question then comes, come festive period, if we have 2 losses and Sheffield win 2 games, are we then going to have a topic saying the Panthers out of there? Because, it's really that close. So I just think at the end of the day, there's this massive euphoria, panic and massive disgruntled fans base and everything. It's like, come on, you're expecting too much so far, and look, judge the man at the end of the season at least.
Looking at Andrew Warren, pretty much agreeing with what he's saying. Andrew Warren, who's of course a Panthers fan, he's put, never rule out the Steelers, a good 2 or 3 weeks over Christmas and it could all be back on. Hope they don't, though, was his answer, which is... He's a Panther, yeah. So you've got one there, Paul.
Yeah, I think probably just one that finishes the whole debate from Pete Thornycroft, who I think is a Steelers fan, yeah. And his reply to the question is, no, we were already out of it.
Okay, we're going to have a look ahead to the games coming up this week, a quick review of those. But before we do, it's just been announced, as we record this, that Nixon's ban has come through for Fife, a 12-game ban. Which, you know, when you look at the release on the Elite League website, very transparent, you know, very well explained by Murray Hansen, the reasons why he's given the ban, and also listing previous misdemeanours as well as to why the ban is as high as it is. Yeah. Now, the list of games show that he will be missing. His final game of the ban will be 18th of January, so he's only really going to be missing a month. Do the Flyers now keep hold of him? Because, as we said, it's only a month. Or do they cut him and then try and bring someone in early in the new year?
It's a difficult question, but as I think I said at the time, with the Cardiff player, whose name escapes me, Convoy. They'd be full. Convoy. Sorry. Convoy. You know, I said at the time, they would be stupid to keep him on. And then at that time they're saying, oh no, we're going to keep him. And then with the week, they'd sacked him. Yeah, they're listening to me. So but what would I do? I'd cut him. He's that's a month, but that's, you know, say he's only missing a month, but he's missing 12 games. You know, he's probably missing the worst month because the number that you play, you know, over Christmas. Between, you know, but.
Looking at all the games as well, they're all conference games. They're literally all conference games. So I think that could have a big factor on their decision, really, because that month is make or break in that conference, isn't it, for them? And you know, they're not in the best of positions at the moment anyway. So
that's a month's money they could save. At the end of the day, you know, Fife. They're not in the best financial situation, I'm guessing. That's a month's money. You know, that's not to be sniffed at. And you know, what good is he going to be doing? Mind you, thinking about it, men with beards are in demand this time of year, aren't they? Bit of white dye. He could make millions. Have they had the Kiss Christmas party yet?
Of course, that only sorts it out up to December the 25th. Coming back to
that's 2 games.
Coming back to the way the ban has been listed. So just reading from the press release, after Nickerson pulled Chris Frank to the ice, he punched him numerous times and also proceeded to choke Frank when he was unable to protect himself. After being instructed several times to stop by the officials, Nickerson continued to keep punching the player and also prevented the linesmen from doing their duty. From the way it's been described, I mean, I must admit, from what the Premier Sport pictures showed at the time, it was a bit inconclusive because there was such a melee around the net, and even in slow motion you couldn't really tell. They've obviously used every camera angle that's been available to them, and the way it's been described, you can't really argue against a 12-match ban.
No, not at all, really. I mean, when you read that, when we read it for the first time, you're like, oh my God, that's a little bit nasty, isn't it? You know, that's not right. Look, at the end of the day, Murray Hansen's done his research. Like you say, he's obviously watched it from the angles that are available. He's spoken to the match officials, and really, you can't ask for anything more from the explanation as to the games. I think obviously his previous, since he's been in this league, has played a part as well. So it's sort of, it is what it is. And you know, like we've said, the decision lies with the Fife Flyers now.
Okay, well, I think we'll leave it there and have a quick look ahead to the games coming up this week. So Wednesday, Clan against Dundee. Both teams will be looking to bounce back. Clan at home, so I think I will favour Clan in that game, and I'm sure Mr. Finity will have read the riot act after last night.
Yeah, I think it'll be quite a high-scoring game again. I think actually, but I'll go for the Clan.
Okay. And then Clan are home again on Saturday against Fife Flyers, the first game of Nickerson's ban, and of course a reverse of the fixture, so that there could still be a bit of needle in that one.
They could. Frank last night appeared to be trying to get somebody else to bang his head on the ice and choke him at times, but so yeah, that could be Clan win. I'd have gone for Dundee in that Wednesday game. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Hull against Panthers. Panthers' only game of the weekend, so, Aaron, how can you see that one going?
To be honest, I don't think it matters whether you've got 1 game, 2 games or 3 games, to be honest. But I'm going to go for a Panthers... oh no, I just snorted then as well. A Panthers win.
I think a Panthers win, but I think it might go to overtime because Hull are starting to pull some form together, especially at home, and they have got some goal scorers that can do us some damage.
They have, but I think we've just got enough to shade that. I'm going to see my boy, so I don't care.
Giants against Blaze. Blaze obviously coming off a very good win at the weekend, but Giants pretty dominant at the moment. Of course, earlier in the season, the Blaze did get a 5-0 win at the Odyssey, which is probably worth bearing in mind. But I've still got to favour the Giants in that one.
I think it might be tighter again. I think you could be looking at sort of like the Steelers game was. It might. Because I'm actually going to go for a Blaze win. I think actually, and I think injuries might have a factor with them. Obviously, Mr. Hendrich, but. I just fancy a bit of a Blaze to go in there and steal 2 points.
Paul? I think he could have a point, to be honest, for once. I mean, Giants aren't going to want to lose 5-0 to them again, but Blaze, decent, got a decent bit of form. If they click, who knows?
The live game this week on Premier Sports is Sheffield Steelers against the Cardiff Devils. You never know what you might get, but there's been some blowouts on live TV recently. I can't see this one being a blowout.
No, neither can I. But the big question is, what's Brent going to be wearing?
I'm guessing a hat. What type of hat?
Yeah.
Or hats?
Well, that's the thing, Brent. We're looking for something festive. If you're watching, don't disappoint us.
Steelers Devils.
I think it'll be a good game actually. I think. It'll be 2 teams that want the win. I think Devils will think they can go in there and put in a performance and win the game, and the Steelers have got to put a show on. They've got to put a show on for the home fans. They've got to put a show on for the fans that are watching on TV. Real good game there, RC. So probably 0-0 and penalties.
Reverse fixture on Sunday, so at the Big Blue Tent, same fixture, Devils against Steelers. Devils really picking up some form at home now and starting to make the sort of conditions of the tent work in their favour, as we have found very much to our cost. And of course, Steelers lost 3-1 there the last time they were at the BBT. So I fancy Devils to win that one.
And Steelers apparently don't do Sundays.
Well, yeah, that's also a very good point.
I think.
Mind you, they're not doing Saturdays now either.
Only another 5 days to go then. I think you're right. Devils win. Devils win.
I'll go split weekend, so Steelers on the Saturday, Devils on the Sunday.
Okay. Blaze against Clan, which has a potential to be a decent game. I think could be a few goals in that one. I will have to go Blaze there.
Yeah.
Okay. Agree. Stars against Giants. Ooh, yeah. I think that could be a very good game, but I think Giants, of course, went in there a couple of weeks ago with a very good 4-1 victory. So I would have to go with the Giants for that one.
But it's Stars' only game of the weekend.
So I think we need to ask Aaron.
I don't know how many times I have to tell you boys, it doesn't really matter how many games you're playing on a weekend. I'm going to go for a Stars win.
The Stars win.
Yeah, I think this might be a weekend where the Giants falter. And I think the Stars, with what happened last game, home game, and the festive sort of period before Christmas, I think they'll want to show their fans a good send-off.
So a 7-0 Giants victory is probably
I'm going Giants win, but I think it'll be a tad closer than that, yeah.
Finally, Fife against Hull on Sunday.
I'm glad you find yourself funny, because nobody else does.
Fife against Hull. I think a lot depends on what happens on Saturday at Braehead for that one.
Regarding Fife, you mean? And what about what happens at home to the Panthers for Hull?
Well,
Does that not matter?
But they've only. I tell you, it's a difficult one. It's a really difficult one to call that. I'll go overtime.
Just overtime. Yeah. Don't care who wins.
I don't know. I think it'll be overtime.
I think Fife will win that one.
5.
Okay. Well, that is it for both parts of this week's show. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. Thanks to Paul and Aaron, as always, for joining us. We will be back next week, so we will have our Christmas show next week before we take a break for Christmas. So hopefully you can join us for that. But until then, goodbye.